So the situation at the border, you're saying, is not a disaster?
That is correct.
Not a disaster. And you know, the thing is, for him, it's really not. It's really not. It's painfully obvious to anybody paying attention. The border is open on purpose. It's on purpose. They didn't trip and fall and open the border. They're actually blocking border walls from being built. Democrats opened the country on purpose. I don't know why people struggle saying that so much. Joining me now, great Congressman Chip Roy from the state of Texas. Okay, Chip, surely impeachment is coming for this guy at this point in time. It sure feels like it's building, but I mean, maybe that doesn't even do him any good. I don't know. You tell us.
Well, first of all, the idea that he would look at a United States senator and say that we do not have a disaster at the southern border gives you a glimpse into the kind of individuals that we have leading the Biden administration with their just brazenness of ignoring truth. Say that there's no disaster to the 2 American citizens who lost their lives yesterday when a human smuggler with a car filled with illegal migrants ran head into these 2 American citizens. I saw a picture today of this couple, both Hispanic by heritage, but Americans. Guy was wearing his cowboy hat. Dude was just driving his car yesterday and he gets slammed into by a human smuggler. This stuff is happening every single day. And Texans are tired of it. I mean, we're reaching a breaking point. Jesse, you're a Texan, you know it. We've got action we're going to have to take as Texans if the federal government won't do its job. So to that point, of course we should impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. I've been calling on it for 2 years. I've written out the case. I believe that my colleague, Marjorie Taylor Greene, put a impeachment resolution, I believe, on the floor today. I've not had a chance to read it or review it. It does matter what's in it. The facts will matter. The presentation of the case will matter. That was true, by the way, for the resolution of censure for Rashida Tlaib. Unfortunately, I had to table the first version, but we were able to get one finished. So, look, I applaud Marjorie for pushing forward and going to the floor and doing it. But we have some Republican votes that are not there because they don't believe that it's an impeachable offense. I disagree. I know you disagree. I don't see how endangering the American people and a failure to follow the Constitution and the laws of the United States to secure our country, how that's not an impeachable offense. It is squarely, and he should be removed.
Okay, they don't think it's an impeachable offense. The head of DHS opening up the southern border to flood the country with criminals. Chip, if that's not impeachable, then nothing is, right? Then there are no laws anymore. There are no rules. That is the most impeachable thing. Like you mentioned, those 2 people killed in Texas, that story just has me sick. Just a couple normal people out driving, gone, like that. If it's not impeachable, then nothing's impeachable.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It is impeachable. We should impeach him. And again, I do applaud Marjorie going ahead and leaning into it today on the floor. Yeah. But I got to see the language so we know what it looks like. And I hope we can all work together to do it because I want to be successful. But we have some Republican colleagues who believe that, quote, a high crime and misdemeanor doesn't include what you're seeing unfold. I think it does. I think if you read the history, the plain history of the language, it does. And frankly, let's just be blunt. That's a bunch of legalistic stuff. At the end of the day, he's endangering the lives of the American people. He's failing to execute the laws of the United States. He's endangering us by having fentanyl poured into our communities, allowing cartels to get empowered, allowing China to get empowered, American citizens to die, migrants to get sold into the sex trafficking trade. He knows it. They are doing it because of pure political crass reasons, and he should be removed from office. But more importantly, Republicans must use the power of the purse and use leverage points like Ukraine and other options to demand that we secure the border of the United States. And we cannot be afraid. We cannot be fearful of using the power to do it. I am hopeful that our new speaker, Speaker Johnson, will use next week to set the table for doing our job. And by that, I mean, we should send over a bill that has some degree of funding because he needs time. He's only been in the job for 2 weeks. But that funding must come with a setup for a DHS fight, a setup to be able to separate Ukraine and fight. And if you fund Israel, fund with it paid by taking that money out of the IRS and pay for this ridiculous disaster supplemental we passed a month ago so that we can honestly tell the American people that we're going to cut spending year over year, that we can stand by Israel while doing that, but that we're not going to give them a blank check at Ukraine and we're going to demand that we secure the border. That's what the American people want us to do. I hope, Mike, I believe he's heading down that road. We'll know more in the next 24 hours. I want to set that fight up and get busy fighting.
Chip, are we confident we're going to get anything out of this one? And I try not to be a pessimist. I really do. I know he's further to the right than any speaker we've had. We've had him on this show. I like Mike Johnson. I do. But he's kind of handcuffed by the friggin' speaker position and the fact that we have so many low-T GOP weenies in the United States Congress. So are we going to get something? Look, I don't want everything. I'm not naive. Something? Because last time we got nothing.
Yeah, so far what Republicans have to run on, and by the way, you know what happened on the election night then last night or night before or whatever? What happened was Republicans didn't set a national message. We have been utterly useless. And what we've done for 10 months, what we have to run on is a $4 trillion debt ceiling increase and a continuing resolution passed on October 1st. That's it. So we've got to change that. The way you change that, and I think Mike wants to, and he's been dealt a tough hand with a thin majority and frankly, a Senate that is utterly useless. And if not useless, they're harmful. We have to go stand up and fight. I think Mike will do that. I hope he will. We have offered and said we will do whatever we can to back him up to fight. And that fight means cut spending, secure the border, hold the line on Ukraine, and use it as leverage or kill it, either way. And we need to do our part to stand by Israel, but pay for it. Gut the IRS. We campaigned on ending that IRS expansion. So I believe we have the opportunity right now. We just shoved it down their throat. We sent them an Israel bill, paid for with an IRS cut. And you know what the Democrats are doing? They're choosing the IRS over Israel. So if we send over a spending package and they say no, and they want to choose to shut down the government, rather than fund the government, pay our troops, pay for Israel, and gut the IRS to pay for it, then they would be choosing the IRS and Ukraine over Americans, our troops, and Israel. I'm happy to have that fight so we can set up a fight to go fight to secure the border after we do that.
Speaking of fighting and funding, $300 million for a brand new FBI headquarters voted on by 70 Republicans, all while the FBI has declared open war on the right and runs political cover, active political cover for the left. Is this truly how suicidal this party is, Chip?
Well, so that was the bad news that you just articulated. There was a vote on an amendment last night, and unfortunately, 70-ish Republicans made a bad call. Here's the good news. We took that bill down off of the floor today. Conservatives stood up and said, nope. And to his credit, Speaker Johnson pulled that down and said, let's go back and let's see what we can do to address that issue. And if we can address it properly, then we can pull that it's a financial services and general government funding bill, pull that back and then move forward. We also have the Commerce and Justice bill coming up next week. And they have some good provisions in there to box out building the FBI headquarters. But that amendment last night was a failure. And that, frankly, cost us the ability to move another appropriations bill today. That's okay. It's a sausage getting made. We called them out for it. We'll go try to address that next week. So you're right to point it out. But let's just say the good news so that your listeners don't get too despondent. People like us stood up and said, oh, hell no, you don't get to do that. Let's pause. Let's go back to the well and let's fix that. The 70 Republicans who voted for that need to be called out, and we need to go stop it.
Perfect. Thank you, Chip. I appreciate you, brother.